The clattering of suitcase wheels echoing across the floor signals a massive move underway. There, a guy who uses the solid power of a great noble family as his shield, living arrogantly like a king. None other than our third-rate villain, Ed Rothaler. Ed is staring intently at the piece of paper in his hand, suddenly blurting out a sigh. It feels like the god of fate is mocking him. The paper is densely packed with extremely serious impeachment charges. The crime of using insulting language. Disrespect in front of the Honorable Princess Peenia. The crime of wrongfully interfering with the Sylvania Academy entrance exam. The crime of disregarding morals. And the crime of disgracing the family's reputation out of blind jealousy. All of these are sins that cannot be taken lightly. After a dizzying moment, Ed continues to mutter. It's a bit long. To sum it up, but before he can grasp anything, the maid interrupts. These are all your belongings. Thank you for your hard work all this time. It isn't until the door slams shut behind him that Ed is struck by reality. They struck my name from the family register? His life is over. A fallen tiger is quickly bullied by dogs. Whispers gradually echo in his ears. Look over there. Isn't that Ed Rothaler? Don't look. He'll see us. I heard he was disowned, so he cleared out his dorm room completely. Why should we be afraid of him now? So we won't see him next semester? Serves him right. Who told him to cheat on the exam in the first place? Filthy noble. I knew this day would come. Hearing this, Ed really wants to open his mouth and scream. I want to say right now that I've been falsely accused. It turns out Ed Rothaler, the one who lived that arrogant life, wasn't him. The scene immediately shifts to a more modern setting. The current Ed has transmigrated into a game. His favorite game is Sylvania's Failed Swordmaster, set in the magic school, Sylvania Academy. Normally, when transmigrating into a webtoon game, people possess the eldest son of a conglomerate, a rebellious but genius young master. But he transmigrated into a third-rate villain who gets kicked out of the dorms right at the start of the game. Ed Rothaler. Because he possessed the worst character at the worst possible time, Ed has no choice but to lament his tragic fate. It's not fair. He screams at the top of his lungs, ignoring the fact that he's in public. I've always lived a frugal and simple life without any greed. Why are you treating me like this? After venting his frustration, Ed lets out a long, weary sigh. He suddenly looks at his new interface in the mirror. I've played this for the 5th time, so this panel is too familiar. But looking at the status window really brings reality home. The reality of this body I've transmigrated into. 3. Seriously? Being poor is bad enough, but this makes Ed incredibly frustrated. If a peasant NPC has a stamina of 5, this number is truly below average. He's in the magic department, yet his intelligence is rock bottom. Even for a noble, this level of stamina is just too much. Fortunately, his dexterity makes up for it a bit. Ed unconsciously recalls the original script in his head and nods, muttering to himself. Makes sense. He was originally just a third-rate, impoverished villain who only appeared in the early stages of the game. Even my memories of him are vague, so trying to remember what happens to him later. Suddenly, a flash of insight hits him, turning Ed's face as pale as a ghost. He instinctively clutches his forehead, grimacing in agony. It would have been better not to remember. It turns out, in a corner of the game's ending credits, Ed Rothaler is sitting and begging as a ruined beggar. Makes sense. A spoiled brat who knows nothing about the real world, suddenly thrown out onto the streets one day. How could he survive? Either way, this will end with him starving to death on the streets. Ed suddenly realizes that no matter how much he messes up, the outcome can't be worse than becoming a beggar, so he grips his suitcase tightly. In that case, he suddenly burns with determination as if he were the main character. Instead of sitting around worrying, I need to take action. Ed quickly comes up with a specific direction. I can use magic. Windblade. Even though it's basic magic, it shoots out extremely sharp blades of wind. But once again, Ed is slapped in the face by reality. Of course, his stamina is so weak that he's dead tired after just a few uses. He scans his surroundings and vaguely realizes. This is the unexplored forest northeast of the dormitories. With my bad reputation, I can't get a job. It's best to set up camp in this secluded place. Even so, surviving in the wild is no easy feat, but Ed has no intention of leaving this island. Moreover, even though he was disowned, he hasn't been expelled yet. Ed's name is still enrolled in the most prestigious environment in the world, a place that guarantees a comfortable future just by graduating. Sylvania Academy. As long as the game's setting remains here, Ed can fully utilize the knowledge he has. Meaning, if he just quietly graduates from the academy, he can live a much more comfortable and wonderful life than in his old world. But to do that, Ed has to put in the manual labor to build a shelter first. After using his amateur skills to complete a half-star difficulty wooden cabin project, Ed bitterly consoles himself. Even if I have to do this, clinging to the school is still better. Even though the wind is howling through the gaps, he remains incredibly optimistic. Wow, really? The sleeping spot is decent enough. Ed's mind quickly shifts to his second anxiety. What I need right now is tuition, right? This semester's tuition has probably already been paid. He optimistically thinks about a bright future. So if I win a scholarship for next semester. But before a few seconds pass, his protesting stomach drags him back to reality. What I need right now is food. He glances at the suitcase next to him and silently decides. I have enough clothes. The shelter is done. Now I have to find food. He drags his exhausted body while his mind is still calculating rapidly. There's a stream nearby, so I don't have to worry about water. But I haven't eaten anything all day. Desperation breeds ingenuity. A spark of inspiration hits Ed's brain. That's right. He stares at his shadow on the ground and reminisces, recalling what his grandfather told him when he was a kid. When famine strikes, go to the mountain behind the house, boil tree bark, and eat it. Guided by his ancestors, Ed hurriedly uses ignition magic to start a fire. Then he places a decorative item to act as a makeshift pot, filling it with water and tree bark. In just a moment, everything is boiling vigorously. He skewers a piece of bark and mentally hypes himself up. Prepared carefully, it kind of looks like chicken breast. It should be edible. He'd rather be a full ghost than die of starvation. The taste will be awful anyway, but it probably won't hurt. After enough mental preparation, Ed gingerly puts the bark into his mouth. Before he can even chew the second piece, his face contorts like someone with severe constipation. Ed's retching noises terrify even the birds in the forest, sending them scattering in panic. He clutches his stomach, dizzy and disoriented, but doesn't forget to complain to his ancestors. Damn it, Grandpa. I haven't eaten anything for 2 days, and now I'm throwing up violently. Even though his face is as pale as a zombie's, Ed still has to feed himself some chicken soup for the soul. It gets quite cold at night. Good thing I already built a shelter. Let's think positively. I've been disowned. My stomach is completely empty, but it can't get any worse than this. But something worse is definitely about to visit. The proof is that Ed's face suddenly turns pitch black. A tornado appears out of nowhere, sweeping away everything, including Ed's ragged hut. It all happens too fast and too dangerously, leaving behind a cloud of dust like the apocalypse. Ed crawls out of the rubble. This time, he's truly desperate. At this rate, I'm definitely going to die. Ed coughs violently while urging his inner strength. Move. It's true that people who fear death are always extraordinary. Ed miraculously crawls up to build a new nest. I can't make a mistake a second time. I don't have rope, so I have to dig deeper into the ground to secure the frame. He goes even more all in this time. It's a pity, but I have to tear my clothes into ropes to reinforce the pillars. After the hut is finished, Ed sits aside, fumbling to make a weapon. I can't waste a single second. I have to live. Soon, he finishes crafting a simple javelin. Crafting proficiency has increased. Ed strips off his outer shirt and charges straight into the nearby stream, his heart burning with confidence. When I was a kid, I had experience catching fish in the stream. Back then, I failed. But Ed channels all his determination and thrusts the javelin straight into the water. The momentum from his arm transfers down, creating a sizable whirlpool. The surrounding water bubbles are compressed tightly, splashing up into the sky. By the time he lifts his weapon and successfully pulls up his loot, his level of desperation is different from before. Ed looks at the fragrant grilled fish over the fire, his heart swelling with emotion. This is real human food. Ed's eyes don't leave the target, but he still tries to restrain his itching hands. I can't get a stomachache like last time. Just a little more. Let it cook a bit more. Starving for 2 days, finally. While Ed is fully concentrating his energy on the food, an interrupting voice appears. Is anyone there? He instinctively looks around, his mind rapidly probing. This place is rarely visited by both students and teachers unless there's a practical exam or a test. When a familiar figure catches his eye, Ed's heart skips a beat. So I never thought I'd meet the main character here. As she gets closer, Ed's face turns a shade paler. And at this exact moment, he finally realizes. This girl is Penia Elias Crowell, also known as Princess Penia. While Ed is stunned, Penia opens her mouth to ask, "Are you?" She snaps the branch in her hand and grits her teeth, hissing, "Ed Rothaler." Penia is so furious that her voice cracks as she interrogates him. "You still haven't left the academy?" Ed, on the other hand, is silently praying to Buddha. I didn't expect to run into the very person who got Ed Rothaler disowned. The third-rate villain suffered humiliation after insulting the heroine right at the beginning of the game. None other than Ed Rothaler. Night enveloped the entire academy. The night of the Sylvania Academy entrance exam. The smile on his face grew more and more sinister. Ed harbored a grudge, so he tampered with the exam paper of the main character, Taylor. But as soon as Ed started executing his dark scheme, he was discovered. Ironically, among the freshmen who looked like the main character was her, the one who hid her identity to take the exam. That person was none other than the third princess of the empire, Penia Elias Crowell. The one who possesses the insight to distinguish truth from lies just through the words and actions of others. Princess Penia. Ed Rothaler was caught red-handed and made a pathetic excuse, but Penia's insight saw through all his lies. And then he was kicked out of the dorms. Everyone in the academy might hate Ed Rothaler, but he ran into the one person he shouldn't have. Penia crosses her arms, appearing coldly before him like a judge. "Why are you still at the academy?" Ed scratches his head, chuckling as he explains. "The thing is, I'm still a student here, but I've been kicked out of the dorms. I want to continue studying at Sylvania." A stubborn thought rises in his mind. "Of course, my goal is to graduate." But Penia coldly declares, "Leave this place." Her voice is full of contempt. "Just as you despised everyone, when the new semester starts, everyone will despise you too. If you don't leave on your own," Penia raises her haughty voice, "I will ask the academy to expel you immediately." The worst character at the worst possible time. Princess Penia truly has the power and the will to get me expelled. I have no choice. He slowly takes a step forward. Ed flashes a faint smile. The sun is about to set. I thought royalty always had armed guards escorting them wherever they went. Suddenly, he looks up with a sharp gaze. A noble princess, coming alone to this deserted forest? Penia becomes somewhat wary, channeling her mana, ready to fight, aiming forward. "Are you planning to harm me because you know I don't have guards? With your skills?" But completely contrary to her thoughts, Ed falls to his knees at her feet, respectfully expressing his feelings. "Harm you? On the contrary, He bows deeply, in a position of gratitude towards the princess. She naturally doesn't believe him and shouts, "Grateful? You expect me to believe that lie?" Insight. The princess's eyes can distinguish truth from lies in the other person's words. But the truth. There is no lie in Ed Rothaler's words. This time, Penia is left speechless and stunned. She checks again and again, but gets the same result. He's not lying. Ed's eyes sweep over Penia's emotions. It's natural to be surprised, because there's not a single lie in what I said. I transmigrated into Ed Rothaler, the eldest son of the Rothaler family. The Rothaler family is currently a prestigious noble house, but in reality, it's a dark faction that even conducts human experiments to achieve immortality. Either way, according to the script, they will be destroyed by the main character, executed or imprisoned. But I've been disowned. Now I might be starving, and my future is bleak. But it's still better than dying. In the long run, Ed slowly expresses his true feelings once again. "I am truly grateful to you, princess." Penia sees through the truth, but momentarily cannot accept it. "You're grateful to me? That's hard to believe." But deep down, Ed truly feels this way. "From now on, I will deceive Princess Penia without lying like this. If I fail, I'll be expelled. No, it's game over." So he staggers to his feet and offers a suggestion. "I have something to tell you." Ed's voice is steady, which surprises her a bit. "There's still a week until the semester starts. The fact that you came deep into the forest without guards proves that the princess is taking the placement test. Speaking of this test," Ed could never forget. Professor Glass's placement test. Finding mana orbs scattered in the forest. It's the first stage, so I remember it very clearly. He stands up straight in front of Penia and asks directly. Professor Glass's test is notoriously difficult. The princess must be aiming for Class A, right? Hearing this, she smirks, crossing her arms in disdain. Is flattery all you can come up with? As expected, I should ask the academy to expel you immediately. Ed gives a faint smile and continues. But, without my help, the princess absolutely cannot get into Class A. If my words are a lie, then at that time, have me expelled as you wish. Penia follows his instructions step by step to the location. At the lake in the southeast of the forest, there is a small grassy island. In the middle of the island is a giant tree. The name of that tree is the guardian tree Marilda. In the hollow of that tree, you will find my gift. As soon as she holds the orb in her hand, her mind is a mess of thoughts. There really is a mana orb in this place. What he said was true, but there's something even more surprising. Ed Rothaler, the liar. The pathetic state he was in 3 days ago is still vivid in my mind. But the Ed Rothaler from earlier. She tightly grips the mana orb in her trembling hand. Penia herself realizes something is unusual. It's too strange. Early the next morning, at the faculty area of Sylvania Academy, Professor Glass gathers the students to begin verifying the gifts they brought back. The placement test is over. Bring out the mana orbs you found. Everyone excitedly pulls out their shiny mana orbs and places them on the table with a joyful and eager mood. But with just a glance, the professor is furious. You all fail and drop to Class F. His voice is full of reproach as he analyzes it for the students. In an exam, the intention of the examiner is very important. Finding mana orbs scattered in the forest is something even a raccoon or a squirrel could do. He snaps his fingers authoritatively. As a mage, besides basic mana sensing abilities, a series of magical energy is summoned to track the mana orbs in the class. You also need quick, accurate judgment and a spirit of inquiry. The 3 most prominent orbs are quickly sucked into the magical energy ring he created. Class A doesn't get intoxicated by the immediate results. Glass reads aloud clearly. And the ones who found these orbs with faint mana are only 3 students. Ed Rothaler, Lortel Cahelm, and the last person who caught the professor's attention the most, with the hardest orb to find and the highest difficulty. In the middle of the guardian tree Marilda, overflowing with mana. He points towards the classroom, and at the same time, she stands up in the astonishment of the whole class. The one who found the orb with this faint mana flow is the top student. Outside by the riverbank, Ed is immersed in his newly crafted fishing rod. It's all burned. Now I don't even have the strength to throw a javelin. Thinking of this, he sighs and creates a new masterpiece called a fishing rod made from a dry branch. If the body can't do it, I have to use my head. Ed also just caught a worm to use as bait. Suddenly, some information about Penia pops into his head. The 3rd princess of the empire. Penia Elias Crowell. Princess Penia has seen through countless flatteries and sophistries since childhood. So she honed her insight. An ability created like that, insight is unavoidable. So I had to give her true information to get her into Class A. But, if Penia gets into Class A, there will be a huge problem. The script will change. Princess Penia, with the pride of the upper class, later known as the benevolent princess. It's because she tasted bitter defeat in the placement test and determined to take revenge after dropping to Class F. But if the main character who affects the entire script is Penia, finds the gold orb and gets into Class A, then the original script will collapse. Ed's eyes grow duller, his arms trembling from exhaustion. Knowing the script in advance is the greatest weapon of a disowned extra like me. Even if I avoid expulsion, if the script collapses, I'm doomed. Of course, as soon as Professor Glass announced it, Penia suddenly stood up. The top student is Lucy Merrill. She storms out of the classroom. The future won't change. Penia's insight saw through the truth, as always. There is a real orb. There was nothing false in what Ed Rothaler said. At that moment, Penia's arm trembled as she tightly gripped the mana orb. But this, in the end, she still decided to put it back in the hollow of the tree. This is not a gift. Princess Penia hid her identity during the entrance exam because she was ashamed of the privileges she would receive if her identity was revealed. so she wanted to do it herself. Even knowing it was the answer the moment she saw the orb, Peenia absolutely could not take it, because it wasn't something she achieved on her own, even though she was very determined and tried to restrain herself at that moment. Ultimately, Peenia managed her emotions and turned away without taking the gift. The title of benevolent princess she would achieve later is not a stat or a skill. It's a name naturally attached to the path of justice she walks. Ed casts his bait into the nearby lake, nibbling and waiting for the fish to come. I threw the bait for the princess. He still remembers the words from that day vividly. Without my help, the princess absolutely cannot get into Class A. If my words are a lie, then at that time, have me expelled as you wish. A transaction accepted through silence. In Peenia's position, whether my words were true or false didn't matter. If it were a lie, she'd easily realize it. And even if she believed the princess would fail the real test, Peenia, trying to restrain herself in the castle, would still be confident she'd pass properly to put me in my place. Ed shrugs indifferently. But I didn't lie. Peenia, red with anger, gritted her teeth as she mentioned his name. Ed Rothaler. And the person who refused my bribe was the princess herself. Under the beautiful sunset that day, he saved his own life. Got one. The princess can't do anything anymore. But as night falls, Ed is surrounded only by terrifyingly dense forests. A week has passed since I transmigrated into this body, disowned right at the start, almost starved to death, and faced the risk of expulsion due to an unexpected event. Actually, it's natural for Ed Rothaler's ending to stop here. A duke's spoiled son who knows nothing gets disowned. The ending waiting for him should be exactly that. But as soon as Ed stops in front of the academy gates, he puts on his uniform, unyielding. However, I have returned. Ed looks at the glorious sun, looking forward to the days ahead at Sylvania Academy. The first day of the new semester at Sylvania Academy. Ed looks around and sighs inwardly. It looks a bit tough, but I avoided expulsion and now the new semester has started. Sylvania Academy is the most prestigious academy in this world, so the school culture is highly aristocratic, and maintaining dignity is a top priority. He takes a bite of a juicy steak. Ed Rothaler was once a noble from a ducal family, holding a high status among them. But behind his back, the gossiping and bad-mouthing never stop. Look at that beggar. He's a beggar. Isn't he ashamed? But now he's disowned. The students chatter endlessly like foxes. Then why did he interfere with the freshman's entrance exam? Another clicks his tongue in denial. No, his personality was already like a mad dog's. One by one, they mock him. How does he still have the face to come to the opening ceremony? Is he planning to keep studying? I heard he was disowned. Ed doesn't argue back. Considering the name Ed Rothaler, this reaction isn't surprising at all. He calmly glances back and mutters, "Anyway, it's a good thing I wasn't kicked out. The attention on me has decreased significantly, probably thanks to her." They were just bad-mouthing him, but turning around, they are captivated by the goddess. It's Yenica. The whole crowd quickly surrounds her. "Yenica, long time no see. Yenica, how was your trip back home?" As soon as he sees Yenica, Ed has to admit one thing. Possessing beautiful looks and a kind personality, the boys still swarm around her. "Yenica, let's hurry. The dessert will be gone." She's like an idol in the school. Of course. Suddenly, she glances over this way. Someone's figure just flashed by, catching Yenica's attention despite the many people standing around her. "Yenica, let's go?" Ed quickly finishes a plate of rice and slips out of the cafeteria. "That has nothing to do with me. Now that I'm full, I have to work. To have a stable life, I need many things. But the most important is still food. The hunting tool I chose is the bow, a combat weapon at the level of a beginner warrior. It's also a useful weapon for survival, combat, and studying. Increasing proficiency will definitely be helpful." But Ed suddenly sighs in frustration. "Unfortunately, it'll be a long time before I can do that." Besides combat weapons, he also utilizes his own abilities to close in on prey. Magic arrows created from mana or spirit formulas that imbue the bow with spirit power have endless applications. But that's high-level magic, so it's still far out of reach. Especially spirit formulas, which might have nothing to do with me for the rest of my life. Even though Ed is a second year, his talent is so poor that he only knows how to use 2 basic spells. After a tough struggle, he finally catches the rabbit in his hands. "Got it. Controlling spirits is entirely a matter of talent. He begins to grasp a useful piece of information. So among mages, those who have that talent are specially called that. Ed looks in astonishment at the picturesque space in front of him. The spirit summoner is the top student of the second year. Yenica. Right now, he's at a loss for how to face her. When her clear voice rings out in greeting. Are you the interesting friend Marilda mentioned? Ed Rothaler. Right? I'm Yenica Failover. We're both second years, just call me Yenica. He hurriedly sits up, completely bewildered. Since when? Yenica awkwardly scratches her head, apologizing. Sorry if I startled you. Saying that, she begins to introduce the scenery behind her. This forest is my senior's territory. Marilda. In his heart, Ed nods in agreement. I know. Even that tree is called the guardian tree Marilda. Marilda is the master of this northern forest, a high-tier wind spirit with the appearance of a wolf as big as a house. Yenica chatters on, telling him everything. Marilda talks a lot. I've heard a lot about Ed. The uninvited guest of the forest, huh? Ed becomes more and more pensive. He reflects on his past actions. Hunting and fishing, of course. And I chopped down so many trees too. The more he thinks about it, the darker his face gets. Uninvited guest. Right. That's possible. Yenica realizes she misspoke and hurriedly explains. Don't mind it. She might even like it. She was probably bored during the break without me. Ed nods, half believing. That's a relief. Maybe because she's a big wolf, she has a big heart too? She suddenly shouts out, asking, Can you see the spirits? At the same time, Yenica opens her palm to show him. Wow, this is a low-tier spirit I just met. Doesn't it look small and cute? Do you want to try touching it? Ed's eyes become even more confused. Normally, there should be ripples or something, right? I don't see anything. Of course, if I play along just enough to get close to Yenica, I might get some advice on spirit magic. But he finally confesses the truth. I don't understand what you're talking about. I don't see any spirits. I don't have the sensing ability. I can't see spirits. Yenica is bewildered, not understanding what's going on. You can't see spirits? Then, Ed gives a cold grunt and bids farewell. Yeah, I don't see them. I'm busy. I'm leaving. The only weapon I have is the advantage of information. To utilize this weapon, the story must follow the game's original script. I'd love to get close too, but just like when I met Princess Peenia, meeting the main characters is extremely dangerous. Yenica Failover is one of the characters I need to keep my distance from the most. Ed knows that ending well. The genius spirit summoner, the school's idol. Compared to what's about to happen, those settings are nothing. Surprisingly, she is the final boss of Act 1. Ed doesn't want to get too involved. Let's absolutely never meet again. But this only attracts Yenica more as she looks at his retreating back. She reaches out to stroke Marilda's fur and whispers, I'm contracted with a high-tier spirit, yet he can't see a low-tier spirit? He's lying, right? After hearing the answer, Yenica becomes even more certain of her judgment. You were right, Marilda. Ed is an interesting friend. A week after the semester started, a repetitive daily routine has formed. Every day, he steadily jogs from the edge of the forest to the school. The distance from his camp in the northern forest to the lecture halls is not close at all. I have to jog from 6 a.m. just to make it to class on time. Doing this every day, just the commute alone increases my stamina stat. Moreover, I have to win a scholarship, yet I don't even have a pen. For notes, I use a stick to write on a stone slab. For books, I use the library. When I get home, I have to wash my sweat-soaked uniform. I only have one uniform, so I have to deal with it. By the time I finish all this, it's already dark. Only then can I start the day's work. Ed starts his work when late afternoon has fallen over the forest, checking firewood, drinking water, food, and crafting necessary items. To increase proficiency, even if the efficiency is low, I must use basic magic. And preparing the food for tomorrow's lunch. Thinking up to here, he starts to get suspicious. The meat seems to have decreased, hasn't it? I have to work this hard just to sleep 4 hours a day. Of course, the problem right now is more than just this. Ed finally can't hold it in anymore. Hey, how long are you going to keep following me? Yenica thought she was hiding very well and panics when she's discovered. What? How did you know? He frowns and asks back. Don't you know who I am? Ed reveals his dark side. I'm Ed Rothaler, the world's mad dog, and now I'm even disowned. Getting involved with me won't do you any good. But Yenika smiles and brushes off the idea. That is just other people's evaluation. I still don't know you. Isn't it good to be friends? Ed just glances at her and makes a true deduction. This girl is sincere. Liveliness without a hint of malice. Clear opinions regardless of what others say. Based on that, she conveys boundless goodwill. Thinking of this, Ed has a major question. The only person smiling at this Ed Rothaler. Why on earth? Why does a girl like this have to be the boss of Act 1? Ed grits his teeth in anger. Even so, my principles remain the same. He threatens, emphasizing every word. If you're not going to give me money, then leave. I'm very busy. Ed has a consistent guiding principle. It's best not to get close to the main characters. Yenika is scared and steps back. After making his feelings clear to her, he runs away from the world, then storms into the wooden cabin, shutting the door tight as if he doesn't want to interact with anyone. Being treated like that for the first time, she feels uncomfortable. Ed sighs, lying down with his arm over his forehead. It has nothing to do with me, but now, there's no one left to smile at me. Yenika returns to Marilda, sulking. Are you okay? The spirit softly asks about her situation, but Yenika smiles leisurely and replies. Being shunned doesn't make me happy either. Anyway, originally, attention is something to be grateful for, but there are cases where people don't want it. Sometimes you just want to be alone. Marilda quickly sees through it. Are you like that too? An unpleasant memory flashes through her mind. Yenika forces a laugh and evades. What are you talking about, Marilda? I'm happy right now. She buries her head in Marilda, giggling. I'm truly grateful that everyone cares about me. The spirit lets out an, oh, is that so? But not long after, Yenika softly calls out. Marilda. With a heavy heart, she confides in Marilda. Ed and I will still see each other at school. But I shouldn't make him uncomfortable. I guess I shouldn't visit that camp anymore. What a pity. 3 days later, Ed is still hard at work with his daily routine. Sometimes, he feels a bit empty. I haven't seen Yenika around these past few days. Let's consider it a good thing. Right. The less contact with the main characters, the better. Pull yourself together and get to work. But as soon as he crawls into the cabin, Ed is startled and falls backward outside. His face darkens in disbelief. What is this? Why is she here? I want to deny reality. Princess Peenia has an influence on the entire script. Yenika Failover has immense importance as the boss of Act 1. However, not just the script, but in the entire worldview, there is one character whose presence is the strongest. Another main character has appeared, Lucy Merrill. She is awakened by the noise and squints at the door. The strongest in Sylvania's failed swordmaster. Lucy Merrill is like a stray cat, not just talking about her appearance. Because she moves with mana as nimbly as a magician, her range of activity is almost limitless. Whether it's the top of the clock tower or the rooftop, she always looks for places with a good view and lots of sunlight to create her own nap spot. And that stray cat has found a prime nap spot where she can hear the fresh breeze and the babbling stream. It's my camp. Ed sits in a corner, dazed. Confusion envelopes his thoughts. Why does it have to be the far north, completely opposite the campus? Lucy sits inside the tent, yawning tiredly. Her eyes half open, gradually getting used to the light outside. Seeing the sparkling sunlight filtering through the leaves of the tent, Lucy smiles happily and speaks up. It's temporarily roofed with leaves, so the sunlight filtering in is really nice. The breeze is cool, making my mood. Hearing this, Ed becomes even more confused. Is that a compliment or an insult? Lucy closes her eyes. Feeling it. Extremely. She lies back down on the ground and adds, I love it. Ed looks at the girl in front of him, who has no intention of leaving and can only stay silent. He stands up and asks, Are you asleep? Is she really planning to take root in this remote place? The next day, brilliant sunlight covers the world. Bad premonitions are never wrong. A blinding purple pillar of light shines straight down on Ed's spot. That's when Lucy is practicing magic. He observes the whole process and evaluates. Casting 5 or 6 high-level spells at the same time, just to take a nap here? That capriciousness doesn't just end in one day. Ed then secretly crafts a new product. Crafting complete. Crafting proficiency has increased. He sees a good omen and rejoices. With a trap, securing food will be much easier. Lucy wakes up at some point and approaches, her eyes sparkling as she asks, Meat. Can I eat it? Ed helplessly replies. This one is a no. Ignoring his answer, she casually takes the piece of meat from the trap and pops it into her mouth, eating it with relish. She doesn't forget to praise it. The flavor is stimulating and very magical. Ed tries to suppress the annoyance in his heart. It's been 2 days. My survival plan is hitting a minor snag. But this is just a secondary issue. In the worst-case scenario, the strongest in the world, Lucy Merrill, might just settle down here permanently. It'll probably cause a terrifying butterfly effect. I don't dare imagine the chaotic future because of this. I have to chase her out of the camp. But how? Right now, Lucy is still happily eating the meat. Different from the food the maids cook. It has a bit of despairingly. In the countless guides I've read, there is no way to beat Lucy Merrill. However, Ed speaks up. Come to think of it, Lucy ignores his words, continuing to marvel at the meat. Salty, sweet, spicy. Ed patiently continues. I saw the Ophelia Hall maids nearby recently. I think they were looking for you. Hearing this name, Lucy is instantly stunned. Her hand loses its grip, dropping the meat on the ground. She quickly puts on her hat as if wanting to run away immediately, stammering an excuse. I suddenly remembered I have urgent business. Ed recalls a line in the setting book that wasn't in the guide, only bought by hardcore gamers. There's a line like this. Lucy avoids the dorm maids who take care of her like mothers. Lady Lucy. And runs away every day. Something like that. Seems quite effective, doesn't it? Lucy continues to make excuses to run away. I was planning to leave anyway. Because it's too noisy. Ed asks back. Noisy? She replies. Not you. I mean the wolf as big as a house behind you. It keeps talking to you. It said that one day, you must definitely save Yenica. I've made it clear. With that, Lucy quickly disappears, leaving Ed sitting there stunned like a statue. A giant wolf? Is it Marilda? He turns back to look at his tent, muttering in a daze. But even if you say that, I have to see it to talk to it. Episode 1. Joint Combat Practice. Joint Combat Practice, as the name suggests, is a simulated one-on-one combat training. First and second years are the lower grades. Third and fourth years are the upper grades. They divide seniors and juniors and schedule matches like that, conducting one-on-one practical matches like real combat. Of course, the lower grades in the combat department are only allowed to use weapons like wooden swords. Magic department students are only allowed to use basic magic. Alchemy department students are also strictly regulated on the types of potions they can use. So there won't be any major accidents like fatalities, but press release. Zix Effelstein wins. This is a truly important event because you can see all the key characters who will be active later. Each character is revealed with interesting traits. Zix of the Foliage, the Benevolent Princess, Penia, the Gloomy Clevius, and the Meddlesome Elvira. The first-year main character generation will win all their matches against the second-year seniors. If there's an exception, the top second-year student. Spirit Summoner Yenica smiles friendlily. Hi. Then it's probably only the genius Spirit Summoner who defeats the main character generation, right? If Lucy is a cat, Yenica is a puppy. Her friendly attitude is as if she completely forgot about last time. Yenica friendlily holds up the schedule and announces. The match schedule is out. Ed coldly turns away and replies. Not interested. Yenica wonders. Why? You should at least be curious about your own match, Ed. He stops in his tracks upon hearing his name. Mine? Because according to the original setting, I was eliminated from the game, so I naturally forgot about it. Ed curiously looks at the match schedule. So who is my opponent? Oh my god. It's Princess Penia. After that, the PA system announces. Will the following students please prepare and proceed to the waiting room? Ed helplessly mutters to himself. I'm doomed. The names are called out one by one. Lucy Merrill. Taylor McClure. Ed's hands clench tightly after each name is mentioned. In front of him, a robust young man steps up and introduces himself. I am Taylor McClure. Please take care of me. I will do my best. Ed smiles in satisfaction. Who I fight doesn't matter. At this moment, the most important person is Taylor. Even though it's the world behind the screen, I've lived Taylor's life for so many years. From the pathetic and empty bad endings to the true endings that leave a lasting resonance. I've completed that journey countless times. Among the countless story routes, there isn't a single one that isn't arduous and difficult. I'm determined to take care of myself first, but I'm still cheering for you. Taylor. The PA system rings out once again. I will announce it one more time. Student Lucy Merrill. Is Student Lucy Merrill not here? Student Lucy Merrill. Ed worries inwardly. Lucy? Where did this girl go? If she doesn't show up, she'll forfeit. The PA system repeats the name. Student Lucy Merrill. In another corner, Ed has found Lucy. He urgently urges her. Wake up, hurry. If the match gets canceled at this rate, it'll be a huge deal. She tiredly complains. I'm so hungry. Ed remembers. This is the episode where Taylor awakens his swordsmanship for the first time. Lucy still doesn't realize the gravity of the situation. She asks, do you still have that dried meat from earlier? Ed angrily demands. Go fight first, then come back here. The top student of the entire first year, Lucy Merrill, and the held-back student, Taylor McClure. After the two step into the arena, the PA system rings out. Now let the match. The referee shouts. Begin. Taylor provokes. Bring it on. As soon as he speaks, a blinding purple light shoots straight at him. Lucy stands still, raising her hand and firing a spell straight at Taylor, causing a deafening explosion. A figure is sent flying backward. Thick black smoke spreads across the room. Taylor's body is pinned against the cracked wall. Everyone witnessing the match is utterly shocked. Ed alone sits still, sweating bullets. Lucy in the arena is still yawning so hard her eyes are watering. The people in the stands see this and start whispering. What? It's over already? I knew it. With that skill level, challenging the top student is ridiculous. Ed sits still, dissatisfied with the current result. Taylor McClure's life is a series of challenges. Country bumpkin, held back student. But he didn't give up. Taylor grips his weapon, forcing his battered body to stand up. As the main character of this world, born with the destiny of the Sword Saint. How could I forget this glorious sight? Taylor swings the sword he holds for the first time in his life and slashes through Lucy's lightning magic. A powerful aura seems to tear through space itself. Lucy, caught off guard, is startled into using intermediate magic and is disqualified. Even though he's battered and bruised, Taylor will honorably become the first person to defeat Lucy Merrill. Those lightning spells, I'll cut them all down and show them the awakening of the Sword Saint, the one who never gives up on his life until the very end, etched into the hearts of all the students. That moment. But the most unexpected thing appears, leaving everyone bewildered. That is, Taylor's wooden sword transforms into a blindingly radiant golden sword. It appears right before Lucy's bewildered eyes. The top student, who underestimated her opponent. Taylor grits his teeth, pouring all his remaining strength into his final strike. A massive, roaring dragon figure appears. That is the blessing of the wind. When receiving a surprise attack, it uses the wind to blow the enemy away. Lucy counterattacks incredibly fiercely. The spell shoots straight towards Ed, leaving him stunned and bewildered. Taylor's entire body then appears on the wall behind him, pinned there like a body up for execution. Ed finally realizes. It's not lightning. Lucy Merrill wins. It's wind magic. Everyone in the stands then stands up, cheering and celebrating joyfully. Everyone is celebrating this victory. And Taylor has lost. Butterfly effect. The butterfly effect. A small breeze generated by the flap of a butterfly's wings turns into a massive hurricane and destroys buildings. To be exact, it's not a hurricane, but the blessing of the wind. Originally, Lucy didn't form a contract with the high-tier wind spirit Marilda. No. According to the script, the two are completely separate entities. Because there's no reason for Lucy to go to the northern forest. Ed recalls what she said earlier. I mean the wolf as big as a house behind you. It keeps talking to you. If it weren't for the ideal nap spot, that would be it. Who would have thought that in just 2 days, she'd form a contract with a high-tier spirit? And even if I knew, could I have stopped it? Even if I say that. Now I truly understand the real meaning of the butterfly effect. Don't believe that humans can control everything in the world as they wish. Things I thought were insignificant, but when the snowball rolls, it will bring unimaginably massive results. The PA system joyfully announces. The winner is Lucy Merrill. Everyone buzzes about this predictable result. See, a held-back student trying to face a rare magical genius is ridiculous. The result is obvious. Who expected him to win anyway? Even his parents probably didn't think so. Lucy approaches Ed, bored. Demand. Hey, now give me the meat. The PA system calls out a name. The next practice subject is student Ed Rothaler. Ed coldly walks past Lucy without answering her question. The PA system continues calling. The Honorable Princess Penia Elias Crowell. She looks at her opponent, the name echoing in her head. Ed Rothaler. Penia speaks up. Ed Rothaler, last time. But Ed pays absolutely no attention to her call, leaving her stunned as she looks back. He runs frantically upstairs, using all his might to call out a name. Hey, Taylor, what are you doing? My goal is to graduate from the academy safely. But if the main character Taylor's heart is broken and he completely despairs, then the trials that will happen at the academy later means that I, the one who knows everything in advance, will have to bear them all alone. Ed angrily grits his teeth. He loudly reminds him, keep your head up. Don't be discouraged. Straighten your back. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Walk tall. You did great. It's just that the opponent was a bit too tough. Don't despair over this little thing. Penia hears these empty words and feels incredibly confused. What the hell is he doing? Mocking him? No. This is sincere encouragement from the bottom of his heart. Ed uses his whole soul to comfort the other party. Your efforts will definitely be rewarded. He mutters inwardly. Don't give up. But outwardly he stammers. Ed thinks to himself, if the main character, you, disappears, I'll have way too much work to do. Emperor Crowell once said, Penia, you truly were born with God's grace. The first person to recognize my insight was my father. Emperor Crowell, the ability to see through the emotions and lies of the person opposite me. However, lies. My ability is not a gift from God. The power struggles within the royal family and the nobility. Amidst that abyss, it's a sense I hone myself to protect myself. I observe all those who revere me and those who threaten me, and my insight sees through the hearts of all of them. Until I met this man, Ed bows, sincerely greeting her. Please take care of me. She realizes. The indifferent apathy. Whatever. Everyone in the stands thinks the opposite. They gossip about Ed's words. Comforting Taylor? Now he's fighting Taylor. Did you hear him? He's really mean-spirited. Bullying someone himself and then overreacting. Does he want to mock someone who can't do anything that badly? His intentions are truly sinister. He's always been that kind of person anyway. Penia, however, thinks, an attitude that doesn't care about the gossip around him. The courage to look straight at me. A princess. And the image of sincerely encouraging Taylor. Completely. Cannot be considered the same person as the Ed Rothaler during the entrance exam. Putting aside the complex thoughts for now, the PA system announces. Now, then, let the match begin right now. The opponent is just a disowned student. The way to resolve conflicts between students is simply to fight it out. Penia announces before launching her attack. Here I come. She thinks, through this match. The water sphere spell is launched first. Penia reminds herself, shake off that mysterious man from your mind. Because there are too many things in the world to worry about. The magic Ed Rothaler uses is wind and fire. How will he counterattack? And then, what Penia didn't expect happens right before her eyes. Ed doesn't counterattack at all. He just stands still, enduring the spell aimed straight at him. This leaves Penia stunned and motionless. In the arena, everyone seems to hold their breath, the air thick and uncomfortable. A few minutes later, Ed is still lying motionless in one spot. Surrounding him now is a large puddle of water. Ed struggles to get up, tiredly announcing, I lose. The audience watching the match laughs heartily, mocking him. What was that? Even more lame than the held-back student earlier. Princess Penia. You're so cool. That was refreshing. Acting all tough, and then getting taken down in one hit. Ed struggles to say to his opponent. Wow. I learned a lesson. Penia disagrees. You clearly saw the attack, so why did you? She stops mid-sentence, pausing for 5 seconds. Come to think of it, this man hasn't looked me in the eye even once. The PA system quickly announces the winner. Princess Penia Elias Crowell. Penia in the arena finally understands. From the very beginning, he didn't care about this match at all. Ed, waiting for just that, quickly runs away, feeling incredibly anxious. Hurry, I have to find Taylor as fast as possible, and find a way to make him snap out of it. A voice calls out from behind him. Ed Rothaler. Penia runs after him, panting. Stop right there. He looks back, bewildered. Princess Pina? For you to come all the way here without an escort. She interrupts. Don't make that face like you don't know anything. Ed is bewildered, not understanding anything. Yes? Pina angrily reproaches him. Always being so ambiguous, like you're right, but also wrong. Do you know how frustrating it is for me to try and guess your intentions? From the start, you had no intention of winning, only thinking of how to get off the stage as fast as possible. I've been working hard just to keep up with the lessons. That fake merchant is just waiting to swallow the environment for business. Ed is confused, thinking, is she mad because I fought half-heartedly? Why on earth? He tries to speak up and explain, but Pina doesn't allow it. She vents her anger, her voice getting louder. The professor's eccentric temper hasn't improved at all. The servants are always nagging about royal etiquette every day. I already have so much to worry about. I'm exhausted. Ed helplessly calls out twice to no avail, so he grabs her shoulders and calls out, Princess. In his heart, Ed thinks, even though I don't know what excuse you'll use to punish me for insulting a princess. He says gently, please calm down. You don't need to be so agitated. Take a deep breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Slowly. Breathe in, breathe out. The space then gradually returns to its inherent quiet state. The two stand quietly under the golden sunlight shining through the window frame. Pina shyly covers her face, hesitantly speaking up. What just happened? Please forget it. Ed stammers in reply. Yes, I wouldn't dare remember. He wonders to himself, can I go now? But just as he's about to turn around, Pina looks up and opens up. Right. I have a bad habit. I could just ask directly, but I keep trying to guess and overthink other people's calculations. It's probably because I've lived in the royal family for too long. Ed is anxious, thinking, no? I know. Please let me go so I can find Taylor. He wants to quickly end the conversation, so he replies perfunctorily. I see. Princess. In that case, Pina doesn't let it go and interrupts. So I'll just ask directly. Ed is annoyed. What now? She looks up at his face and says, your true purpose. You know something about the Rottweiler family, so you intentionally got disowned, right? You bullied Taylor because you needed an excuse to be disowned naturally. Originally, you don't hate Taylor. Ed's face darkens at being called out. Exactly. Quite a sharp deduction, even though most of it is wrong. But the deduction about the dark side of the Rottweiler family is correct. The head of the Rottweiler family is an evil villain who has harmed countless people to achieve immortality, and is scheduled to appear as the boss of Act 4. But Ed hesitates, wanting to explain, but then he decides to give a perfunctory answer. No, I don't know much about that. This information makes Pina. What? Ed calculates. It's not the time yet. That's a story you have to investigate and find out yourself in the future. Pina refuses to accept the truth and asserts. Impossible. Logically, it doesn't make sense. Why would you cheer for someone you intended to get expelled? Tell the truth. Ed worries inwardly. That's a sharp question. What do I do now? He stammers, talking while trying to find a way out. Pressing. Well, I just wanted to tease him. Cheering for Taylor would make people think I've changed. Something like that. Pina has insight that sees through this lie, so she firmly denies it. No. Tell the truth. Ed insists again. Really, it's true. Pina becomes increasingly impatient. No, it's not. Ed still has no reaction. Just insisting. It's true. He thinks to himself, my only asset is the progression according to the original plot. Since there's no evidence anyway, I'll just gloss over it. Besides, I want to leave here as soon as possible. Ed sighs, planning to make up a new story. All right. But just as he's about to speak, Pina easily lets it go. Go. You keep looking at the door. You definitely have urgent business, right? Ed is overjoyed. As expected. Thank you. Truly the benevolent princess. Even in this situation, she's still observant and considerate of me. Ed grabs the doorknob. Under the blazing sun, his hand firmly grips the doorknob and opens the door. He reconsiders. The image just now is definitely far from the Princess Pina I know. Because she affects the entire script, her head must be exploding from being involved with so many characters and events. And on top of that, there's the added variable of me, so she must be having a headache. I don't know what kind of butterfly effect this sentence will create, but Ed stops in his tracks, deciding to speak up and remind her. I don't know if you realize it, but you look very tired. It wouldn't hurt to relax a bit. Here. It's not the royal court where you have to be constantly on guard. It's Sylvania Academy. Having said his piece, Ed quietly steps through the door and leaves the hallway. The door closes, leaving Penia standing frozen in place. Penia has lived a life seeing through countless others. But this is the first time she has experienced the feeling of her own inner thoughts being seen through by someone else. Ed is worried. This is a big deal. I wasted too much time. If Taylor just despairs and gives up everything, then according to the setting, there will be no way to deal with the final boss. This goes beyond the script being twisted. This world will completely collapse and end. Ed runs frantically forward. Then he stops abruptly because he spots his target. That's Taylor. Found him. Wait, but what should I say to lift the spirits of a despairing Taylor? But before he can run to him, someone blocks his path. Stop right there. Ed Rothaler. He asks, bewildered. You are. Her eyes are filled with tears as she stammers, pleading. Don't touch Taylor anymore. Ayla sobs and adds, Ed Rothaler. Even if you don't do anything, Taylor has suffered enough. You don't need to torment him further. That's Ayla Triss, Taylor's childhood friend and the face of this game. It's nice to meet the real person, but right now, that's not what's important. The overwhelming gap in talent is like violence. Once you realize that massive wall, mental collapse is imminent. If the main character Taylor can't stand up here, then who can stop the countless threats about to hit this academy? The script will ultimately collapse. But then, something unexpected happens. Taylor calls out, Ed Rothaler. He realizes. Those eyes are filled with an unyielding fighting spirit. Right. This is the main character of Sylvania's failed sword master that I know. He steps forward to shield Ayla, quickly changing the subject. Are you still attending school? And that is Taylor McClure. He has perfectly revived with an appearance full of willpower. Ed is now even more confused. How did? But he suddenly stops as if he understands. Looking at Ayla, those sparkling eyes looking at Taylor make Ed sigh in relief. I see. While I was fighting the princess, his childhood friend and biggest supporter, Ayla Triss, took action. She couldn't just leave Taylor in despair. It wasn't just me. Ayla steps up to comfort him. It's okay. Taylor. You'll overcome it this time too. You've always done well. I'll help you. Ed thinks. Characters. No, humans don't act according to predetermined patterns. They are constantly influenced by their surroundings. I see. Taylor then turns to ask Ed, what are you doing here? Do you have something to say to me? He is still deep in thought. If Ayla is here, Taylor will stand up time and time again. Ed ponders silently for a long time. Then, he calls out, Taylor, you're pretty good with a sword. I've changed my view of you. He asks anxiously, what are you plotting? Ed just turns to leave, giving a perfunctory answer. Nothing special. He confides in himself. I'm surprised myself. I thought I was only focused on surviving. I'm feeling proud. Not because the script isn't broken, but because Taylor didn't collapse and is still standing strong. That is probably because I've lived Taylor's life countless times and walked with him to the very end. Or maybe because I've confirmed that the person who will bear the trials in my place is still safe and sound. In the distance of the castle, an incredibly powerful tremor suddenly occurs, attracting the attention of everyone around, including Ed. Originally, this was a scene everyone would watch together from the observation seats at Nail Hall. It turns out, it's the intermediate magic created by Lortel. Everyone standing around marvels at this creation as a wondrous sight of nature. Amazing. A first year using intermediate magic? But aren't they only allowed to use basic magic? Intermediate magic is a violation. Is that okay? Lortel smiles, thinking to herself. The top student of the second-year magic department. Let's see how strong you are. But while casting her magic, Lortel is suddenly shocked because the ice blocks she created are gradually cracking. A red flame flickers, then gradually causes the large ice block to crack, ready to explode across the space. The entire casting process happens too swiftly. The terrifying vortex creates a massive explosion hard for anyone to imagine. Ed remembers, even though the progression is a bit different from the official history. But look closely. Taylor, what you are seeing is the trial that will block your path countless times in the future. Among them, the first person to test you. The final boss of Act 1. Over here, the earth-shattering battle between fire and ice is still fiercely and unpredictably ongoing. And the master of that flame, is none other than Yenica Failover. In the arena, the PA system announces, "The winner is Yenica Failover." Everyone immediately surrounds her, showering Yenica with praise and congratulations. In our grade, only Yenica managed to beat the juniors. Huh? She shyly replies, "Thank you. Thanks." Someone else asks, "Seriously, is there anything you can't do?" Yenica is beautiful, has good grades, and her spirit magic is excellent. The person being praised endlessly right now is only paying attention to Lortel, the girl lying on the stretcher being carried past the crowd. Another person stands there, confidently affirming, "Yenica, you are our pride." That very sentence becomes a factor that makes Yenica bow her head in thought. Unlike the original plot, Taylor lost. Thanks to that, the main character of the joint combat practice ended up being Yenica, the one who preserved the pride of the current students. Yenica was already like an idol in the school. Now she's even more popular and has more friends, so she'll probably be very busy. Everyone has winged words of praise for her. Yenica is really amazing. We won. But maybe that's for the best. Now I probably won't see her at the camp. Time flies like a dog running in a field. In a flash, 2 weeks have passed. A new product called a fishing net has been completed. With the fishing net, the food problem is partially solved. I haven't run into any important characters lately, so I can comfortably focus on survival. And the result is, the standard for a high stat is 10. Judging by that, it's still too early to be lazy. As expected, not meeting the main characters is. From behind a large tree trunk, Yenica steps out, blushing shyly. She stammers, "Hi." The two of them then sit together, warming themselves by the fire in the forest. A romantic scene that makes Yenica exclaim, "This is amazing. It's really like a secret base here. Did you make all this by yourself? Can I come visit often?" Ed quickly declines politely. "Why would you come here? There's nothing interesting." Yenica sits down, her face sad as she confides, "I wanted to talk to you a bit more. Also, I have something I want to consult you about." Ed helplessly asks back, "Consult?" He wonders inwardly, "Why me?" She confides, "You know, even though I try to forget it, I keep wondering if I was too harsh on my junior. Was injuring her to that extent an overreaction? Should I go apologize?" Ed coldly replies, "Do whatever you want. I have nothing to say." Yenica replies, "But if I say that, my friends will say she broke the rules first, so they'll stop me from apologizing." Ed goes along with this and replies, "Then just do that, if you think it's right. To you right now, I don't want to say any words that could affect an important character anymore." Yenica then honestly asks a question. "You absolutely never take my side unconditionally, do you?" He coldly replies, "If that makes you uncomfortable, then there's nothing I can do." She denies it. No, you misunderstood. On the contrary, I feel very comfortable." Following the storyline, the adorable and lively Yenica is the treasure of all second-year students. So if she blames herself, everyone will take Yenica's side anyway. Being defended unconditionally is certainly something to be happy about, but it doesn't mean past mistakes will disappear. That makes the kind-hearted Yenica feel quite uncomfortable. So she came here, even though she doesn't know the exact reason. But this man absolutely does not take her side. Those aspects of Ed. To Yenica, she smiles and whispers, "I wish everyone in the world were like Ed." He left behind a strange sense of comfort. Night falls. The stage is now a runway of sparkling stars under the warm, flickering firelight. Two hearts beating to the same rhythm, each with their own unspoken thoughts. The next day, Ed recounts, "I don't want to run into important characters." But as soon as he steps onto the stairs at school, he runs into an acquaintance. "Senior." Ed quickly turns to leave. The other person calls out in confusion, "Senior Ed." He thinks. But it's not to the point of ignoring her so unnaturally like this. However, if it's someone who has played this game, Sylvania's failed swordmaster, they would agree with gritting their teeth and walking away. Sylvania's failed swordmaster is called a masterpiece, but very few people see the ending. Especially new players, because they will encounter countless bad endings in the early stages. Bad ending 4. If you save her from the kobold attack during the placement test event, you will witness the Golden Daughter's secret. Then she will have Taylor kidnapped. And so on. Bad ending 7. In the monster subjugation practice episode, if you ignore childhood friend Ayla and team up with the Golden Daughter, Ayla will fall off a cliff and die. Bad ending 13. If you protect the golden daughter from the fire spirit summoned by Yenica, you will be burned to death instead. While he is lost in recalling the plot, Lortel standing in front of him interrupts by calling out, "Senior, didn't you hear me?" He stops, thinking for 5 seconds. "I have to run." She is. Seeing no reaction from him, Lortel teases, "I didn't expect you to grit your teeth and ignore me to this extent." Ed bitterly thinks to himself, "Of course I have to grit my teeth and ignore you." Lortel continues, "I want to buy 2 hours of your time." Senior Ed. Ed remembers. She is one of the 4 main heroines. The only daughter of the giant merchant Eltkehelm, nicknamed the Newbie Crusher. The 4 heroines of Sylvania's failed swordmaster. Among them, there is a strange character known as the Newbie Crusher. It is the golden daughter, Lortel Kehelm. Unlike the other heroines, Lortel appears as a villain in Act 1. Players will encounter a bad ending whenever they get involved with Lortel, so they usually avoid her. But this is an intentional setup, because when Act 2 of the script passes, her past is revealed and the evaluation of her is reversed. Thanks to that, Lortel Kehelm, initially called the Newbie Crusher. Lortel smiles and says, "Hello, Senior." According to Ed's memory, she is later called the Hidden Heroine. Finally, when the player reaches Act 3, they will have to choose between Princess Penia, who pursues ideals, and Lortel, who pursues practical benefits. That moment is truly none of my business. Getting involved with important characters, who knows what will happen? Especially with this Newbie Crusher, just talking to her is dangerous enough. But Lortel doesn't let him go. She runs after him, calling out loudly, "Hey, Senior. Senior Ed. I saw you, Senior Ed, and was very moved." He coldly exposes her. "Don't say things you don't mean." Lortel stubbornly continues, "Even though you were disowned, you still continue studying in such difficult circumstances. Of course, it's not like I haven't heard the rumors. That you're a bit arrogant, a bit selfish. But those things don't matter. They're not important." The other party continues to have no reaction, making Lortel bored and lose her smile. She then makes Ed stop in his tracks with the sentence, "You've been quite close with Senior Yenica lately, haven't you? I won't beat around the bush. Can you help me become friends with the strong and popular Senior Yenica? It's simple. Just the 3 of us talking a bit. Here, the deposit." Ed coldly mocks, "Being the golden daughter, you buy relationships with money?" But then his eyes become completely stunned by the image that appears. Lortel doesn't hesitate to pay the price. 3 gold coins. He calculates. 3 gold coins? Usually, you have to work hard for a whole month to get this amount of money. Lortel shoves the money straight into Ed's pocket and says, "Just take it. I also had a time of poverty and hunger, so I understand that feeling. Even if I buy relationships with money, it's fine. But I know one thing for sure. The more people on my side, the better." Ed looks into Lortel's forced smile, a thought rising in his heart. People who live their whole lives in luxury will mentally collapse with just a little destitution. The thing that defeats those pushed to the brink. Ed, after recalling a time of extreme hunger himself, speaks up. "Lortel," he decides, "selling my pride for a gold coin and selling myself too." He reaches out his hand and says, "Let's shake on it." The story just flows like that. Swallowing a desperate person whole is that easy and simple. How sad for that fateful handshake. Or so it should have been. Lortel then looks at her bandaged hand, her eyes suddenly pausing. In her hand now is the money Lortel just gave Ed. She looks up at his retreating back. As for him right now, homeless, self-sufficient. Saying he doesn't crave gold coins would be a lie. But making the boss of Act 1, Yenica, and the Newbie Crusher become friends? The original script wouldn't just change, it would be completely shattered. Just imagining it gives me goosebumps. Anyway, flatly refusing like this should be fine. Lortel stares at the 3 shiny gold coins in her hand. She grips them tightly, smiling and whispering, "Ed Rothaler. How interesting." Night gradually falls over the castle. That night, Lortel is still pondering the events of the afternoon. 3 gold coins. An attractive offer flatly refused. Even so, the merchant doesn't feel humiliated. On the contrary, she smiles. Because the prey I'm aiming for is worth that much. She calls out loudly, "Senior Yenica." And Ed's refusal had the opposite effect. That night, chatting friendlily, "We meet again in a place like this, huh?" Yenica also smiles and replies, "It's Lortel. Your hair looks different down." and that stimulated the merchant's competitiveness. In Lortel's mind at that time, she absolutely had to make her hers. Yinika Failover, hiding sincerity behind a smile as easily as breathing. Yinika Failover is like a girl from a fairy tale. I have to act appropriately bright. She continues to smile and says, "Oh my, what a coincidence. The thing is, last time during the joint combat practice, I accidentally used forbidden intermediate magic and caused a huge commotion. Even though some time has passed, if there's a chance, I want to apologize to you." She secretly says to herself, "I just wanted to check how good the top second-year student is." Yinika is still concerned and worried. "Your wound hasn't healed yet?" Lortel comforts her. "Don't worry too much." She thinks again. As expected, she still feels guilty. Good thing I haven't taken off the bandages. After that, Yinika sincerely continues, "Right. Thank you for coming all the way here to talk." She waves her hand and replies, "Not at all. It was just a coincidence." But the next sentence leaves Lortel completely speechless. Things with Ed didn't go smoothly, did they? Even though I didn't mean to, everything said near the northern forest reaches my ears. The spirits are naturally very talkative. I thank you, Lortel, for being willing to invest gold to get close to me. But compared to Lortel's method, I prefer Ed's method. They say true feelings can't be bought with money. That sentence makes us have to revise our evaluation. The girl in the fairy tale is not wrong either. Yinika still confidently smiles and continues. I sound a bit arrogant, don't I? It's my first time having a junior, so I'm showing off a bit. How embarrassing. I'm heading back. I'm planning to form a contract with a new high-tier spirit this time, so I have a lot to prepare. But I'm not a fool who thinks this world is a fairy tale. Lately, I've been cheered on by everyone more, so I have to work hard. She knows the dark side of the world well. I'm truly sorry for injuring you. I hope you recover soon. So she still maintains a kind attitude towards everyone. Lortel stands frozen in place, motionless, not knowing how to react. She then sighs in regret. What a pity. I wanted to own her. But as soon as the sentence ends, the slightly open door is accidentally discovered. After feeling guilty, the door completely shuts tight without a sliver of light getting through. Lortel is stunned in disbelief, wondering inwardly. What was that just now? Sunlight shines on Ed's simple tent. Breezes blow past, drying the carefully washed clothes. Lucy, who is outside, suddenly sniffs the air. She announces, "There's a smell." Ed wonders, "Smell? Of what?" Without a word, Lucy directly unleashes her power, sending the pristine clothes flying chaotically everywhere. Ed angrily yells, "I just put them in." But then a stranger appears, and Lucy is the first to notice. Who's there? The figure of a woman gradually reveals herself from behind the leaves. The highest-ranking head maid of Ophelia Hall, Bellmeyer. Recalling the past, she had coldly said to Ed, "You've worked hard all this time. That's the maid who kicked me out." Ed instinctively jumps up, saying, "This is..." Belle interrupts, "I know you're here. Every morning when I help Lady Yinika get ready, she talks a lot about young Master Ed. I didn't know you were living like this, but I'm glad you're doing well." Hearing this, Ed can't believe his ears. Yes, his face clearly shows confusion, shock, and disbelief. I wasn't really focusing on what Belle was saying. My eyes were glued to that spot, the fruit basket. The Ophelia Hall maids are an elite group responsible for perfectly handling even the students' meals. So the things in that basket are definitely the highest quality ingredients gathered in this forest. If my memory is perfect, there's definitely an episode that affects the original plot. Belle then speaks up. "You don't need to use honorifics. Just speak down to me like when you were at Ophelia Hall. It's fine." He refuses. "No. How could I speak down to a maid who is always working hard?" Ed remembers. There's no episode related to the maids. He stammers a request. "So could you give me some information?" After that, Ed is instructed by Bellmeyer about the types of fruits, mushrooms, edible herbs. It's quite abundant. The food problem is considered solved. I have leftover netting, so should I go fishing? Or make a hammock? Over the flickering fire is a very important item boiling. Ed calculates. I still only have 2 basic spells, but I'm sick of using them, so I've reached the goal of proficiency level 10. Using them even when chopping wood or cooking, so survival efficiency has increased significantly. After that, a new product under the warm firelight is completed. It's herbal tea, Made from the herbs Meyer pointed out. Incredibly delicious. The proof is that I finished all my work and the sun hasn't even set yet. To be honest, I'm starting to find this interesting. But an unexpected appearance in the sky makes Ed freeze for 5 seconds. A flash of light suddenly appears under the burning sunset, peeking out from behind the thick clouds. Then from that faint light, a powerful pillar of light pierces straight from the sky down to the ground, causing a violent earthquake. Just now, Ed was blown far away by the impact of the explosion, his whole body rolling uncontrollably. The smoke is so thick he can't see the opposite side. Ed struggles to get up, his mind bewildered, not understanding what is happening. But as the thick smoke gradually clears, the image before his eyes makes him exclaim in disbelief. What is that? A woman in pajamas peeks out from behind the dust, panting continuously, looking extremely exhausted. She mutters, "Almost died." And that is none other than Lucy. After the sandstorm clears, the space gradually returns to quiet. Lucy collapses to the ground, her hair a mess, looking like she just experienced life and death. She pants, complaining between breaths. "I almost died." Ed stands next to her, his voice half believing, half mocking. "Almost died? You?" Lucy doesn't answer immediately, her eyes darkening slightly, a thought flashing through her mind. Who on earth is it? She mutters, as if still haunted. Meyer. He frowns, feeling something is wrong in his heart. Isn't she a good person? Lucy waves her hand, starts explaining, her voice still trembling a bit. Normally, I just slack off a little bit. But for some reason, she was so sensitive today. She clenched her fists tighter than usual and approached. She grimaces, recalling. It was so sudden that I had to use teleportation to run away. Lucy sighs, her voice tinged with grievance. It looked like it would hurt a lot. Then, as if remembering something more important than life and death, Lucy turns to ask, "Do you have?" Her eyes full of hope. "Do you have dried meat?" Ed looks at her, expressionless, delivering a fatal blow. "You blew it all away, didn't you?" After the hit, he secretly observes Lucy, a question flashing in his mind. "No defensive magic?" She exhales, speaking bluntly. "Out of mana." Ed nods, as if understanding, his voice calm. "I see." But right after, he changes his tone. "First of all, this is compensation for my house that you destroyed." Ed flicks Lucy hard on the forehead. A scream rings out, shattering the quiet atmosphere. Then he leaves, his mind starting to calculate. "I need a sturdier house. Let's try building a fancy wooden house." Ed continues thinking as he walks. For a busy person like me, since I'm at the library, I should gather all the necessary information at once. He mutters, listing like a checklist. Design documents. Necessary materials. The rest is how to carve wood and roof it, right? A voice rings out from behind, gentle but firm. It's closing time. Elka stands nearby, looking at the pile of documents in front of him, unable to hide her admiration. "You study really hard, senior." Ed startles and looks up, as if just escaping his own world. "Is it already this time?" "Sorry about that." She quickly waves her hand, smiling lightly. "It's okay. Seeing someone focus on studying like you, senior, gives me motivation to study too." "I'm Elka Island." A very clear thought rings in his head. It seems her eyes are urging me to say my name. He replies briefly, then adds, his voice calm, "Ed Rothaler." Immediately, a familiar thought crosses Ed's mind. This bad reputation isn't going away. He sighs softly inwardly. Makes sense. Just burying my head and living a rushed life. What could change? Elka looks at him again, her eyes slightly different, as if comparing. Completely different from the rumors. She points at the pile of books, her voice full of amazement. "These elementology books are hard for me to understand, yet you read them all in just a few days, senior. Right now, you've also devoured more than 6 specialized books on the spot." Elka hesitates a bit, then speaks honestly. "I heard you only know how to show off, but have no knowledge." She shakes her head, smiling lightly. As expected, rumors can't be trusted. Her eyes light up. "It turns out you're this hard-working, senior." Then Elka clenches her fists, as if cheering for herself and the person opposite her. "I'll cheer for you, senior." Ed nods slightly, replying simply, "Thank you." She takes a step back, preparing to leave. "Then get back safely, senior. I'll clean up quickly and head back to the dorms too." He watches her go. A confusing thought flashes through his mind. Because of that, suddenly, the entire library shakes violently. Elka startles. Panicking, she turns sharply towards the sound. From above, rows of books fall, crashing down towards her. An emotionless voice rings out, as if from somewhere very far away. Episode. Final chapter. The Glaskin subjugation begins. A cold voice rings out, as if summarizing the situation. 11:30 p.m. Temporary camp in front of the student council hall. Thanks to the efforts of the main character Taylor's group, quite a few students have gathered at the camp. 2 hours have passed since the sudden disaster struck. Ayla clenches her fists. She recalls what she read, then speaks up. I saw it in a spirit magic book. She swallows hard, her voice slowing down. That is the summoning circle for the highest tier dark spirit. This is the circle used to summon Glaskin. Hearing that, Penia frowns, her voice dropping. Bad news. There's only one person with spirit resonance high enough to summon a spirit of that level. The probability is high that our enemy is the top second-year student who has lost control to the dark spirit. Yenika Failover. The whole group falls into silence. No one says another word. Taylor takes a deep breath, breaking the silence. It's a real pity, but now is not the time to hesitate. If what Ayla says is true, the barrier surrounding the academy is just to buy time. His eyes sharpen. When Glaskin is summoned, the casualties will be even greater. We have to enter the student council hall. Claire stands nearby, keeping her composure, adding, the people outside the barrier will realize it soon. If the royal guards and the professors respond, they will quickly. Elvira shakes her head, interrupting with a more realistic tone. The barrier of a high-tier dark spirit is definitely very solid. This has to be resolved from the inside. Principal Abel is also absent. She looks around, her eyes holding a bit of hope. If everyone here joins forces, couldn't we defeat a high-tier spirit? Clevius crosses his arms, expressionless, objecting. He glances towards the hall, his voice full of reality. You plan to get past those mid-tier spirits and spirit beasts to enter the building and subdue Yenika? Clevius says in a panic. And that's not all. He continues, his voice dropping significantly. Inside, there are also high-tier spirits. 2 of them. The high-tier fire spirit, the enraged Tarkon, and the high-tier dark spirit, Velocipher. Clevius concludes with an extremely concise sentence. That's suicide. I'm not going anywhere. Lortel hesitates for a moment, then speaks up, her voice full of doubt. But, is it true that she did this all by herself? Even if she's the top second-year student, materializing and maintaining this many spirits, and then Glaskin too. Ayla shakes her head slightly, quickly explaining. Most of it is probably Velocipher's power. Senior Yenika is just a medium to unleash that power. Her eyes darken. Dark spirits are the natural enemies of spirit summoners. That power is immense, but spirit summoners cannot control it. Ayla continues. Every word clear. On the contrary, they are demons who want to manipulate the spirit summoner. That's why all spirit summoners must keep their minds pure, or they will be swallowed up. She takes a breath, continuing. However, Senior Yenika is someone who understands spiritology better than anyone else. Ayla frowns. This is hard to understand. The problem is no one knows how Velocipher managed to dominate her. Zix steps forward, looking around at everyone. His voice decisive. That's not important right now. What's important is deciding our course of action now. He clenches his fists, his eyes serious. Wait for the professors until morning. Or, do we take action ourselves? There is only one person who can decide that. Zix lowers his voice, emphasizing. Princess Penia, please give us your opinion. She stands still, clearly feeling the heavy pressure. Inwardly thinking, a situation where everyone is waiting for her decision. Then Penia suddenly remembers. Suddenly, that man's indifferent words flash through her mind. Ed's voice rings out in her memory, casual and light. What is the burden I carry compared to the burden of the princess? It wouldn't hurt to relax a bit. She slightly clenches her fists, a bitter smile flashing in her heart. If only I could be that relaxed, how great would that be? Then Penia speaks up, her voice clear. We will enter in 1 hour. She continues, her voice unwavering. However, only those with proven abilities, including myself, my guard Claire, the top students of each year, and Class A students, will participate. Everyone, Prepare your equipment and your minds. Pinia's eyes darken, but do not waver. I will take responsibility. Doc steps forward, reporting quickly. Princess, we have grasped the number of people remaining in the faculty area. He continues. Dex Hall and the magic potion storage. Everyone is holding out. It's hard to expect them to join us. She nods slightly, calmly concluding. Realistically, we are the only ones who can take action. Dox adds, as if finalizing the situation. Besides that, no other students have been identified. Right at that moment, a voice chimes in, a bit rushed. There is. Ross steps up, still panting. I came here from the library. In the student library, there is still a student librarian intern and a second-year student. Pinia immediately asks back, an intern? What's her name? She replies immediately, without hesitation. Elka. It's Elka Island. Zix's face immediately changes color upon hearing that name. Elka? Elka? Nodding vigorously, explaining. Yes. We study magic tome management together in the student librarian intern class. He clenches his fists tightly, no longer able to keep his composure. Damn it. I have to go save her right now. Elka doesn't have the strength to defend herself. Lortel steps up, her voice calm but firm. Calm down, Zix. I know the relationship between you and Elka is very special. She looks straight at him, unyielding. But you are the greatest combat asset among the people here. For the success of the operation, I cannot let you go. Pinia also speaks up, keeping the atmosphere stable. That's right. Besides, I heard there's another second-year student with her. She hesitates a bit, then continues. How about we trust that student for now? Zix stops, his voice dropping. That. Pinia turns to Ross, asking again to confirm. Clearly, you said there was another student, right? She is a bit flustered, her eyes darting around. That. He immediately frowns, losing patience. What are you hiding? Tell me quickly. Ross swallows hard, then says softly. She takes a breath, speaking more clearly. It's Ed Rothaler, hurriedly explaining further, as if afraid of being blamed. I'm sorry, because he just sat there until late at night. I was so annoyed that I handed it over to Elka and went home. Everyone knows what kind of person he is. Her voice trails off. Elka has a personality that doesn't care about rumors. So, Mark stands nearby, repeating as if he can't believe it. Ed Rothaler. Zix grabs his head, reacting extremely strongly. Oh my god, that shameless bastard and the librarian are isolated in the library with just the two of them? Pinia immediately speaks up. Then she stops, as if reconsidering. Wait a minute. Pinia is a bit flustered, but still tries to continue. Even so, she takes a deep breath, as if forcing herself. Let's try to trust that man and see. A second of heavy silence. Everyone stands frozen in place. Lortel is also stunned, looking at her with a series of question marks in her eyes. He stands still, his face darkening, the fire of anger clearly visible on every feature. Without another word, Zix erupts with mana, his figure instantly darting away. The monsters around notice the movement, roaring and rushing forward en masse. In his head, there is only one thought left. If he touches a single hair on Elka's head, kill. Swinging his arm, smashing every monster blocking his path, without a moment's hesitation. His eyes are terrifyingly cold. I will chop him into 100 pieces. Ed Rothaler. The system voice rings out, steady as if recording a legend. The phrase, a carp leaping over the dragon gate, cannot fully describe the miraculous existence of Zix of the foliage. In his mind, he coldly analyzes. Looking at the size, it's a mature male. Looking at the tree bark around, it just passed by, just a moment ago. Zix hides in the shadows, his whole body tense like a bowstring, his gaze sharp like a predator. He strikes decisively. Got it. The world in Zix's eyes shifts back to distant memories. The northern steppes of the empire. A barbaric land where the voice of the royal family cannot reach. A world where, at the end of the day, a fleeting thought. Dryly, I have to check if my head is still attached to my neck. Zix is a descendant of the nomadic tribe wandering that place. An unanswered question. When I became aware, I was already separated from my family. I don't know when I was abandoned. Why was I abandoned? And can I return to the pack life? A faint smile flashes. He learned how to slit a deer's throat before learning to read. Learned how to take supplies from corpses on the road before learning how to buy things at a store. Needless to say, that is, whispers full of prejudice echo in his head. He's from the northern steppes, right? A contemptuous voice follows. Is he a descendant of those barbarians? Rumor has it they even eat human flesh. Closing his eyes for a moment. The life of a beast. A gentle voice rings out, shattering everything. What is your name? He opens his eyes, answering briefly. Elka looks at him, her eyes showing no fear, only sincere curiosity. Zix, you're like a wolf walking on two legs. Just realizing something he had never understood before. Only then did he know the wandering life on the vast northern steppes. Images appear clearly, eating dead animals on the road, using the moon as a house to sleep. This boy is definitely a wolf cub abandoned by its pack. Her voice rings out again, this time full of worry. Oh, are you okay? He pauses slightly, as if just waking up. It turns out, all this time, I've been living a life like that. An unfamiliar emotion creeps into his heart. The first day he met his life partner, Zix finally realized what the feeling of loneliness was. Rare memories gradually appear. Elka and Elka's father welcomed him as family. Time passes, silently changing everything. While chasing after the rapidly passing civilized life, the wildlife suddenly became a distant past. A light but certain conclusion. And the wolf cub became a human. In his head, there is only one goal left. But to protect her. Exploding with speed, his figure darts past the monsters blocking the way. Zix's voice rings out, cold as a blade. Ed Rothaler. In his head, a decisive thought echoes. I am ready to become a beast once again. The rumors rush back, like adding fuel to the fire. I've heard the rumors about that Rothaler bastard. Cheating on the exam. Insulting the princess. And harassing underclassmen. Zix's figure darts away like a gust of wind tearing through the air. He stops abruptly. Zix clenches his fists, calling out the name in a cold voice. Ed Rothaler. Ed turns his head, his expression so calm it's hard to understand. What is it? He takes a step forward. His voice rushed. Elka. Where is Elka? He frowns slightly, giving a somewhat irrelevant answer. Why are you here? Zix loses his patience. Yelling. Tell me quickly. Where is Elka? Ed answers concisely, not wasting a single word. Reading room 3. Zix immediately turns around, rushing off without hesitation. The call blurts out unconsciously. Elka. He breathes a sigh of relief, his voice trembling slightly. Are you okay, Elka? She is lying unconscious on the floor. Zix steps forward, almost falling to his knees. Thank goodness. His voice drops, significantly lighter. Truly, thank goodness. Suspicion gradually forms in his mind. Come to think of it, Zix glances around. Bookshelves that even a grown man would struggle to lift, arranged around as if to protect Elka. His eyes dart towards the window. The blinds block the view of the out-of-control spirits. Zix approaches, placing his hand on the chalkboard. Hastily written but clear lines of text appear. When you wake up, don't panic and stay here. Everything will be over before dawn. So calmly barricade the entrance and don't provoke the spirits. Absolutely put your own safety first and don't act rashly. A thought gradually becomes clear. Someone protected Elka. A streak of red catches his eye. Blood? This isn't Elka's blood. He clenches his fists. This is a heavy silence. The blood of the person who protected Elka even though they themselves were injured and became covered in blood. Bowing his head, his eyes waver for the first time. Ed Rothaler. In the end, for what? Ed sighs softly, as if regretting something. What a pity. 3 hours ago. Books from above crash down. Dust fills the air, obscuring the view. Dusting off his clothes, his voice still calm. Good thing I normally train my muscles. The script is progressing faster than I thought. His eyes stop at the summoning circle. Looking at the summoning circle, the Glaskin subjugation has begun. Shrugging, extremely nonchalant. Taylor will handle it himself. In a place where so many important characters are gathered, it's best not to care. Time is money. I can't just sit around. He looks towards the entrance, starting to calculate. Soon the out-of-control low-tier spirits will flood out. So I'll block the entrance so they can't get in. And take this opportunity to invest time in perfecting my wooden house a bit more. Ed takes out some dried meat, eating while thinking very seriously. Now, while eating, I brought a whole garden of research materials to study all night. Wait. The reason Yenika's ability is special. Then he suddenly stops, as if remembering something important. is due to her high spirit understanding and spirit resonance stats. These two stats develop through interacting with spirits. Ed sighs, very self-aware. But the act of meeting spirits itself belongs to the realm of talent. So for someone who can't see them like me, increasing spirit stats is almost impossible. He looks up, looking outside. But the spirits materialized by Yenica are flooding out. A very abnormal smile appears on Ed's face. The event has started. Experience like this? How could I miss it? He fights while calculating, his eyes extremely calm. Crazy speed. Ed checks his status again. Ignition has reached level 12. Spirit magic has also reached level 7. Just a few more levels. But it's a pity. If the total level of understanding and resonance exceeds 15, I can form a contract with a spirit. He exhales, stopping himself just in time. Anyway, I've tried my best. Overdoing it might actually be dangerous. A voice rings out from behind. What are you doing here? Zix flashes through his mind, thinking, what am I doing? As expected, I couldn't just ignore someone resting covered in wounds. He shrugs slightly, deciding not to beat around the bush. There's no need to lie either. Ed answers curtly. Training. He freezes for a beat, then snaps back immediately, his voice full of skepticism. Good Lord. Training? In his head, there is only one conclusion. No matter how naive someone is, they wouldn't believe that. Zix's eyes gradually soften, as if just understanding something. Right. Now I feel like I understand your character a bit better. You've always been that kind of person. He nods slightly, his voice dropping. Truly. Then Zix bows his head, speaking very seriously. I owe you a great debt of gratitude. Senior Ed. He clenches his fists, as if promising himself. If I have the chance, I will definitely repay this debt. Ed looks very. But in his head, he's thinking in a completely different direction. Elka is definitely Zix's lover. The name Elka only appears in the setting book, so I completely forgot. He rolls his eyes, continuing to analyze. But this guy holds the position of the friend who trusts Taylor from the beginning to the end of the script. He's a quite important character. A thought quickly forms. In that case, Ed glances at him, asking directly, looking at the situation, did you abandon the student council hall to come here? He sighs softly, speaking like an order. Now that you've confirmed Elka is safe, go to your job. Hurry and run to the student council hall. In Ed's heart, the conclusion is already clear. You're not the person who should be here. He continues, his voice calm but firm. Go help Taylor. Just follow his lead, and everything will be resolved. Zix stops, frowning. Taylor? You mean Taylor McClure? Ed replies immediately, his voice nonchalant. The guy who's always barely escaping being held back. He frowns, unconvinced. I don't understand why you rate Taylor so highly. I haven't even had a proper conversation with him. He shakes his head slightly. Before rating him highly, it's a matter of compatibility. Especially the shell of the high-tier fire spirit Tarkon can only be damaged by his elemental slash. In Ed's head, everything is as clear as day. Elemental slash. The main skill Taylor learns in Act 1, Chapter 9. The key to clearing this act lies in that skill. For Taylor to use elemental slash, they will win. A second of silence. Then nodding. Thank you for your advice. Ed waves his hand, urging directly. There's no time. Hurry up. I'll rest here for a bit. In Ed's head, he's still very optimistic. Giving advice to this extent, it should play out exactly like the original script. He stops. A detail just now suddenly pops into his head. Wait. His voice from earlier echoes back. Taylor? You mean Taylor McClure? I haven't even had a proper conversation with him. A cold feeling runs down his spine. Zix hasn't become friends with Taylor yet. A series of memories about the original script appear. Act 1, Chapter 9. Final exams. In their match, Taylor is completely overwhelmed, but learns elemental slash and slashes through Zix's magic. Zix recognizes his perseverance and acknowledges Taylor. Finally, the two become friends, clenching his fists. But this is the final chapter of Act 1, happening a month earlier than the original plot. Episode. Final chapter. The Glaskin subjugation. Act 1, Chapter 9. The final exams haven't even happened yet. Then he concludes, his voice turning cold. So Zix hasn't become friends. Taylor hasn't learned elemental slash. No one in the current subjugation squad. Ed opens his eyes, looking straight ahead. Can deal damage to Tarkon. His voice drops. It's just that I didn't realize it. The entire progression has already collapsed. The subjugation squad's camp at the student square is steeped in a heavy atmosphere. Zix rushes in. His voice rushed. Sorry I'm late. I will definitely make up for it. Penia looks at him. Her eyes more tired than reproachful. It's fine. Even with Zix, we'll definitely fail anyway. The system voice rings out, cold as a judgment. The first assault of the subjugation squad has failed. Claire struggles to stand up, still refusing to rest. If there's a plan to attack again, we should gather volunteers. As soon as my leg stops hurting, I'll join immediately. She immediately stops him. Enough. Claire, you rest at the camp. You can't even walk steadily. He clenches his fists, refusing to back down. Princess Penia, if you truly care about me, please retract that order. Penia closes her eyes for a moment, then opens them. Claire, I have a heart too. A heavy feeling rises in her heart. Fortunately, the retreat was successful, but Claire has lost his combat ability. The top first-year combat student, Clevius, is also injured. Her eyes. Penia wavers. Is there any other way? Then she clenches her fists, deciding, for now, we'll focus all our remaining strength on destroying Tarkhan. A voice chimes in, calmly out of sync. There's no time to take down Tarkhan. Everyone whips around. The whole group stares at him in bewilderment, unable to react. Ed looks at the summoning circle in the distance, speaking as if concluding. Looking at the state of the summoning circle, it's almost complete. Penia calls out softly, still not over her surprise. In Ed's head, the thought is clear. This is the situation I wanted to avoid the most. But there's no other way. He takes a step forward. His voice decisive. Divide the subjugation squad in two. Ed continues, not giving anyone time to object. I will take charge of one side. In his heart, a decision has been made. From now on, I will intervene in the script. Penia looks at Ed. Her eyes waver slightly. Ed Rothaler. Clevius immediately frowns, his voice full of annoyance. Hey, joking in a situation like this? Zix raises his hand to stop him, his voice dropping. Hear me out first. Clevius, he's still not convinced. Gritting his teeth. Why? He takes a step forward, not beating around the bush. We have to get past the high-tier fire spirit Tarkhan summoned by Yenica. To confront Yenica, who is being controlled by the dark spirit Velocipher. Ed continues, his voice steady but firm. But everyone has already faced Tarkhan, so you know well. Its shell makes it completely impossible for us to deal damage. If so, there's no need to confront Tarkhan. Then he proposes a plan. One team will draw Tarkhan's attention. The other team will enter the combat practice room to subdue Yenica, who is being controlled. Bypassing Tarkhan, we can confront Yenica directly. Lortel immediately shakes her head, objecting. Absurd. It's completely different from the Tarkhan during combat practice. We were able to retreat entirely due to luck. She speaks quickly, full of tension. If the decoy team fails and Tarkhan chases after the suppression team, or if the decoy team is completely wiped out, then ultimately we will have to face both at the same time. The risk is too great. Ed doesn't flinch at all, replying immediately. You can only weigh the risks when there's an alternative plan. In the end, the most important goal is to subdue Yenica. Then Tarkhan will be neutralized as well. Zix crosses his arms, asking directly. The problem is, who will be on the decoy team? Elvira sighs softly, speaking bluntly. Meaning, it's just choosing people who want to commit suicide? A voice rings out. Without hesitation, Claire steps forward, his eyes resolute. I'll do it. He immediately cuts in, not giving him time to sacrifice himself heroically. No, don't show off. You get in right now. You must be on the assault team. Taylor holds him back, but still tries to say, my legs are fast, even though I don't know how long I can run. But if someone has to sacrifice themselves, it's right that I do it. Ed sighs, as if correcting a wrong answer. You've misunderstood something. He says clearly, we're not choosing a scapegoat. We don't necessarily have to split the team in half. Then Ed points out the people who will join him. Clevius and Lortel is enough. Including me, the three of us will lure Tarkhan. He reacts first, almost falling backward. Why me? I don't want to die? She also can't help but reply. I also respectfully decline. He remains as calm as ever. There's a way to hold Tarkhan back. Clevius immediately shakes his head in refusal, telling me to face Tarkhan with Ed Rothaler? I'd rather die than that. Lortel also clearly shows her skepticism. How is that possible? In Ed's head, there is only one thought. There's not much time. Penia steps forward. Her voice rings out, calm and full of authority. What he said is not wrong. Penia looks at Ed, her eyes still holding doubt, but having made a decision. Even though I still don't understand your intentions, but... She takes a breath. Then decisively, in the name of the third princess of the Crowell Empire, Penia Elias Crowell, I order, divide the subjugation squad into 2 groups. Penia looks at the whole squad, her voice decisive as if sealing their fate. I, Taylor, Elvira, Ayla, the Yenica suppression team. She shifts her gaze to the remaining group. Clevius, Lortel, Ed Rodhaler, the Tarkon decoy team. Penia sighs softly, saying a brief sentence that everyone understands the weight of. Finally, because time is short, I'll keep it brief. Don't die. The whole squad replies in unison. Their voice is firm. Absolutely not. The hallway of Nail Hall, the air is sweltering hot, cracking slightly due to the mana aftershocks. She frowns, glancing forward. How do you plan to buy time with that fire lizard? Ed remains annoyingly calm. Just do as I say. Just follow the plan. He speaks as if it's obvious. We will definitely win. Then turns to him, his voice like coaxing a child. Don't worry. Clevius. In his head, he's already thinking. The gloomy Clevius. Although cowardly and lacking confidence in his abilities, he is the top first-year student. Combat Department. Ed concludes with an extremely short sentence. You can do it. He stands frozen, his mind a tangled mess. This guy? Why is he so confident? Clevius swallows hard. There's definitely a way, right? The ground shakes. The monster stomps a foot. Heat blasts their faces. He clenches his fists to reassure himself. Yenica Failover is in the combat practice room behind that door. We just need to lure Tarkon away, right? But then Clevius suddenly feels guilty. I was blinded by the princess's resolute expression, so I came all the way here. He smiles faintly, thinking, but I'm not alone. Clevius's eyes gradually become resolute. Maybe I can bravely give it a try too. The monster roars, charging straight at him. Clevius turns pale and asks, It's coming. The battle begins. So how do we lure it? He whips around and freezes. Ed and Lortel have disappeared at some point. Clevius turns to stone on the spot. Meanwhile, Tarkon has closed in, so hot the air distorts. He almost goes crazy. You tricked me. You tricked me. Why on earth would you do this to me? Clevius screams in the hallway. Hey, you crazy bastards. Where are you? Now what? It's over. I hate this whole world. Outside, Lortel stands straight, letting out a sigh, advising her. Let's go. Pushing Clevius into the hallway of Nail Hall is enough. And he's still moving forward. I can do it. Lortel glances at Ed, half joking, half serious. Planning to sacrifice Clevius? Not bad, but you'll definitely be morally condemned. He shakes his head, correcting her immediately. First of all, it's not a sacrifice. Ed says calmly. That guy. He looks like that, but he's the top student. His endurance is terrifying. Then he looks at her, his eyes turning serious. The most important role will be taken by you. Lortel. Outside the combat practice room. From outside Nail Hall, hot wind blows through like a furnace. Ed states the plan clearly, every word firm. You will be responsible for securing the entrance for the Yenica suppression team, and practically taking on the role of dealing fatal damage to Tarkon. Lortel glances at him, the corner of her mouth twitching slightly. It seems you're not someone who just listens to rumors and judges recklessly. Then she remembers what Ed said. Everyone will probably hesitate, not knowing if they should do it. But I'm good at these things. Lortel raises her hand, smiling lightly. Blow it away for a refreshing feeling. A deafening explosion. The wall shatters like paper under her mana. Lortel stands tall in front, her hair blowing slightly in the mana aftershock. She turns her head back, her voice nonchalant. What are you doing? Then Lortel smiles lightly and continues. Go in. In her mind, a memory flashes. Right, during the joint combat practice. I blew off the roof of Nail Hall with forbidden intermediate magic. Lortel narrows her eyes, looking at Ed. So that's why you gave me this role? You're really interesting. Ed Rodhaler. She exhales softly. Anyway, the entrance is open. Lortel looks back, silently calculating. The rest is... In the distance, a voice screaming with resentment echoes. Lortel, you two are dead. I won't let you two off. She looks at the scene, her voice still chillingly calm. Even if the operation is successful and the subjugation squad enters safely, the stage of encountering Tarkhan. Then Clevius and I still have to face the charging Tarkhan. Lortel speaks like reading a report. Facing Tarkhan in the student square with no way out. He has now completely changed his tune. No, I'm sorry, spare me. I'm sorry for saying I'd kill you. Please spare me just this once. She glances at Clevius, raising an eyebrow. You told me to drop dead? He shakes his head, his voice decisive. We can't go. Running away. The only way is to catch it. Ed continues, extremely clear-headed. That shell resists all attacks anyway. Didn't we see that during practice? You lost to it once. Moreover, no one in the subjugation squad managed to put even a scratch on it. He looks straight at Lortel and replies, the shell can be handled with this. Just focus your mana and get ready. She asks in confusion. What is that? In Ed's head, the situation flashes by quickly. Lortel is right. Up ahead, she and Clevius are struggling to hold the monster back. He observes, his eyes darkening. Without elemental slash. Then in the subjugation squad. No one can break Tarkhan's shell. The monster roars fiercely, heat erupting. Right at that moment, Ed dashes forward. In his head, there is only one thought. What's needed is overwhelming firepower. A figure sleeping soundly as if nothing is happening. Ed looks up. The corner of his mouth twitches slightly. Originally, the final chapter was already hard. Almost no one completes all the supplementary conditions, but he looks at the situation before him, his mind strangely calm. I've done this countless times. Lucy turns over, grimacing in annoyance. What? Why? It's shaking so much. Let people nap. Ed stands there, looking, not knowing whether to be speechless or impressed. Still able to nap in this situation. And originally, it's night, not day. He sighs softly, remembering. Because I destroyed her shelter, she had no place to sleep. Lucy came to this rooftop, where she usually naps. She has been sleeping until now because she had to be removed from the script. His eyes darken. Yenika's condition is not good. Belle angrily calls after her. Where? Where are you going? He frowns slightly. Bellmeyer became sensitive because of that. Ed looks back at the sleeping girl. So Lucy ran away until she exhausted her mana and fell asleep. Perhaps this is the game's mechanism to remove this overpowered character from the script. Lucy sniffs, suddenly sitting up half awake. Dried meat. It smells like dried meat. In front of her is a piece of meat. Fragrant dried meat. Appearing full of intention. He stands behind, his eyes extremely calculating. Now, this direction. Ed holds out more meat, his voice coaxing like luring a pet. Eat up. Eat a lot. I'll give it all to you. In his head, he's more straightforward. This is no time to be picky. His eyes look towards the distance. The target is the burning lizard. Estimating the distance. His hand clenches slightly. Can I throw it that far? Don't worry. I threw a lot in the military. He takes a breath, then shouts loudly. Get down, everyone. Below, the monster roars, preparing to launch an attack. She yells in frustration in midair. This is too much. This is too much. Looking down from above, Ed stands firmly on the railing, observing the entire situation. The moment Lucy lands, a surge of electricity erupts. She raises her hand, her voice full of murderous intent. High-tier lightning magic. Heavenly punishment. Lortel and Clevius scream, defending themselves while silently cursing their fate. Up high. He also has to grip the railing tightly, veins popping on his hands. Ed narrows his eyes, thinking extremely fast. From a certain perspective, this is the most important moment. He analyzes immediately. Tarkhan is a high-tier fire spirit that even if everyone rushed in, they couldn't catch because of that shell. But now, hit by Lucy's high-tier magic, the hard shell is shattered. His eyes light up. Now our attacks will also deal damage. Of course, when it's destroyed, we'll receive a massive amount of experience. It's come to this. He smirks slightly, his eyes locked on the target. Then I have to get a little something out of this too. The finishing blow is mine. Yenika's mother hugs her and says gently, Mom and Dad are truly very proud of you. Our beloved daughter Yenika. The haunting words of her classmate ring out. I'm very proud to be your friend, Yenika. Even the words of her teachers flood back. You are the hope of the second year. This time, you were the only one who properly showed your true abilities. If it's student Yenika, I can completely trust and entrust this to you. Another voice of Yinika's friend echoes in her ears. If it weren't for you, the second year would have been a disaster this time. All those words act as invisible pressure, making Yinika burn with indignation. Her feet are stained with dark red blood from stepping on broken glass. Thank goodness we at least have you. Yinika. Suddenly, an earth-shattering explosion erupts, turning the whole area blindingly white. When the dust clears, the group of students appears in a defensive stance. Yinika mutters, "Everyone is here, huh?" Her entire body is bound by iron chains. In her head, she mutters, "All right, let's welcome everyone with a bright smile like always." Then she speaks in an eerie voice. "Welcome." At this moment, behind Yinika appears a ferocious beast with glowing red eyes. The next second, it erupts with intense energy. Sparks of electricity constantly radiate. At the same time, Ed is rushing over, wondering inwardly. Nailhall, has Yinika's side just started? The script will probably end at dawn. He stops. His feet slide on the ground, creating friction. Good thing seeing the beast breathing fire, everyone is in a panic. Ed sighs in relief. I'm not too late. The next second, he turns to ask Elvira, "Where's Lucy?" She replies in confusion, "Probably rolling around in some corner around here." Hearing that, Ed says anxiously, "If she could just finish the last part, that would be great." Elvira denies it. "I'm not sure she has the strength to do that." Seeing Lucy sleeping, ignoring the world, Ed says in dissatisfaction, "Fine, we'll handle it ourselves." Hearing that, Elvira lets him know, "I was planning to do that anyway." But, however, before she can finish her sentence, she is interrupted by the fire-breathing beast, unable to run away in time. I poured all my mana into chanting and embedded 2 ice spears into it, but it's still standing. Why is there such a stubborn enemy? At this moment, Ed steps forward and says sternly, "We have to cut off its head. Your ice magic isn't suited for clean cuts. Let me do it." Elvira asks in surprise, "You're in the magic department like me, senior. Wouldn't it be better to let Clevius, who always carries a sharp weapon, do it?" Seeing Clevius struggling to run away from the beast while screaming, "Save me. I'm sorry." Ed asks skeptically, "Can he do it?" Elvira replies calmly, "No." In terms of, she suddenly becomes tense when hearing Ed entrust the task. "I will take responsibility for finishing it off. You just need to block its movements exactly once. I will bet my life on you. So do it properly." After that, Elvira can't help but speak up. Senior Ed, saying things like, "I will take responsibility," or "bet my life on you." Looking at Ed's back, she continues, "You say that so easily. To be honest, this is no different from a baseless gamble." Ed calmly emphasizes, "It's not a gamble, because the value of a life isn't that cheap." Then he leans over slightly. "This is an investment." Sounding quite smug, Elvira smiles. "An investment? That's my area of expertise. That sounds much better than a certain princess who relies on her royal lineage to act like a monarch, only to be spun around like a pinwheel." Her hands begin to generate bright spiritual energy. "Since you arbitrarily bet your life on me, senior." The next second, Elvira is surrounded by sharp ice blocks, her eyes full of determination. "Then I will also hang my life on you, senior."